March 16, 2026. This is the S&P 500E Futures Mini on the 2000 tick chart using NinjaTrader 8. What the chart look like today? Today, there was no economic data to really move the markets. It was a pretty slow crawl. I didn't find too many setups, and this is options expiry or rollover. So I'm actually trading the June 26 contracts or the ESM 26. The H26, which is the previous quarter, are still trading, but a lot of the volume is now slowly migrating to the next contract, which would be the M. So I think the volume was affected somewhat by the split between the two contracts, but there was still not that much going on. Today is a really slow day. Tomorrow will also be pretty slow because the FOMC rate decision is coming out on Wednesday. And I think most analysts and the market is predicting that there's going to be no change, but that of course can be anything. But I think they're predicting no change. Nevertheless, usually on the Monday and Tuesday before the Wednesday rate decision is really slow. So tomorrow I anticipate is going to get a repeat. Not exactly necessarily going to look like this, but the volume and the price action might be really slow as well. I did manage to take one trade, which is profitable. And I think I identified two other trades, but other than that, nothing quite set up that, too attractive as the setups, in my opinion. For the pre-market, it was a spike and kind of a shallow channel. You could find second entries in here, but they don't necessarily set up quite right, so never marked them. We'll push down. It kind of hits this support area, then pushes up in the screen up channel. When it broke and kept going, I thought maybe it was part of this bigger channel here. Now, when I say I saw this is actually after the fact because I started looking at the markets here, but I tried to believe what I would have thought if I saw this in real time, so that if there's anything that sets up really nicely, and it does happen in regular trading hours, hopefully I'll have the reflexes or clarity to take those trades. In the pre-market, I did see this potential second entry long and triple test. So technically, you have a first entry long, you have a second entry long here, but I saw it as a visual first entry, pullback, second entry, and a triple test right here, maybe a possible trade, because I would have trusted this support probably is going to hold with a bounce off the EMA. Then prices open, it's in the sideways consolidation, then it starts moving up this up channel. It wasn't really a channel initially, it was kind of tighter, something closer to this. But when it broke out and it stayed for quite a while, came back in and kept chopping and it made this high, that's when I extended this channel to be something wider. And actually sets up for my first trade. So it creates a localized high of day. This blue dotted line is kind of tracking the high of day. Creates a first entry long, makes a double top, but you technically could restart the count, but I saw it as a visual first entry, pullback, second entry. I took this trade because it is a clear second entry long with a decent signal bar close. I had this trend line coming up, and the high side of the channel isn't quite reliable yet because there's only one touch, but at least the low side looks pretty good. And those are triple tests. So let me zoom in. I waited for this candle to close, then I actually dropped my order right at the highs of here, and I actually got a slightly better fill because it opened down here, actually opened here. I dropped it, it pushed above. I dropped in my order at the highs here, came down and gave me one tick benefit, which is great. It closed here and then pushes up and got my 6 tick scalp, which is right here. It's a little hard to see. There's a little purple triangle right there. And no runner because I wasn't really sure. I knew the bias is clearly bullish, but I wasn't really sure I was going to get anything out of it. So I decided, still trying to work out of my red position overall from the last 2 weeks. So I just wanted to just take it easy. And I know Mondays, and particularly this Monday and Tuesday, might be really slow. So I wasn't really going to try to press my luck. Got the entire position off, pushes up. Keep in mind, this yellow up channel doesn't exist yet. It was a trend line going up and then another trend line here, and there was additional trend lines in between. So it pushes up, hits the high side, creates a first entry long, bounce back, creates a second entry long right here. It's kind of an interesting second entry long right here. I like that it moved, engulfs this guy, engulfs this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy. So technically it engulfs the 4 previous candles and pushed up. It didn't break above, but has a decent size close. And I thought it was a possible trade. It's like the first entry long pullback, second entry long. Now, depending on how you drew this, there could have been a breakout here, or if you had it a little bit lower here and you didn't have the touch confirmation here, you could argue this is the first break, because this is also something I was thinking of at the time. But I was actually trading with this channel, but I had another potential dotted trend line, thinking that this could have been the first break instead of this one. So depending on how you drew it, it's still potentially valid that it's going back into the green up channel. So possible trade here. As it hits sideways consolidations, flushes down in this yellow down channel, break, and then continues down. This yellow up channel actually doesn't help too much, because I tried to, this is the one I ended up with because it has decent confirmations on the high side. It was like 1 touch, 2 touch, 3 touch, 4 touch. The low side, to make it into a channel, I had to pretty much have this touch and this touch, but there's no other real touches here. I wouldn't have trusted the third touch confirmation here because it's losing momentum. It's not hitting the high side of this yellow up channel anymore. So it starts moving down, break, moves down this red down channel. Unfortunately, no clean second entries that I particularly like. Moves up this green up channel, break, test the high, then it comes back down. You have a second entry long here, but it's a break of this orange. This green up channel has played out, broken, tested the high. Now the orange down channel is broken, testing the low. So to take a second entry long here feels risky, so I left it alone. Then when it pushed up, I was looking for a higher low, but you don't really get a higher low. The higher low shows up here, but it's a red signal bar. By the time this one opens and it kind of pushes past this guy, it's outside this potential range, because I was thinking this could be ranging. So I'm a little hesitant to try to take this trade, to take a chase trade. So I needed like pretty much a higher low. There's a first entry short, second entry short failure. Now I'm looking for a higher low. You get a higher low here, but it feels pretty far from the setup now. It's away from the EMA. Plus, it looked like there might have been some kind of resistance here. Push to the high side, then it comes back down. Break of this orange. Then this second leg is much bigger than this. So this actually looks like the leg that's valid. So instead of saying this is the first, this is the second, it looks like this is noise. And this is actually the first leg down. But then it starts moving sideways. You have a new localized low. You have first entry long, first entry short. You have a second entry short here, but it feels very congested because you have a decent signal bar here for your second entry short. But the previous bars, the bodies are small with respect to the size of the candle, and you have a lot of tails. So it just leaves me extra cautious. Switches down, again hits sideways, and you got quite a few doji candles here. At this point, I was playing with the idea that this is potentially some kind of support area on a larger tick chart, like a 10,000 tick chart. This looks like a failed breakout, potentially prices moving back in. Moves up the screen up channel, break, test the high. And that's when I drew this orange one. There's a break, but it also looks like a sideways here, so there's no clean setup. Then it hits a localized high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long. Looks like 2 clean legs down, bounce off the EMA. EMA is starting to show as decent support. A nice bounce here, and actually sets up a trade here. Nice bounce here. First entry long, second entry long, confirming the second entry long higher low, enough room for a quick scalp. So I thought this is a possible trade. Pushes up. I drew this transparent up channel because it has 1 touch, 2 touch, 3, 4. So this support side looks decent, but I didn't really have it fully established to use it as another key entry point for this higher low. But I thought this higher low, without this extra bounce off this up channel support, was still like a viable trade on its own. And the high side has 1 touch, 2 touch, but never colored it in. It didn't really seem, by the time it fails and pushes out, I didn't really color it in, but it wasn't anything I was kind of looking for additional setups. So it breaks down and through on this orange down channel, starts reversing up, break of this green, pushes, and when it exceeds, the second leg gets clearly bigger than the first. I widen the channel to this red one. It's also break of this pink up channel, test the high, but it starts moving sideways. It gives you this, what I call an almost setup. There's a localized high. It's a first entry long pullback, second entry long triple test. But this range, it just looks very spindly. It looks a little bit unsafe because you have dojis and then you have candles that are pretty much side by side, spanning the entire length of the range, and the bodies are a little bit small. So it's just a little caution that gets thrown at me when I see something like that. There's a failed breakout here, pushes down, break, test low, then it reverses. I'm not really sure why it reversed this strongly. It's the high side. You get a first entry long. Technically, you have a second entry long here, but doesn't feel safe. Like looks like more of a visual first entry, and then a failure. Test the low of this orange down channel break. Then it kind of continues a second little breakdown. Starts moving. It's a localized low. First entry short. You have a second entry short here. It's inside to this though, so I'm not a big fan of that. This also looks like it's moving sideways. Breaks to the low side, and unlike typical trading days where the last 30 minutes that might go a little wild, it was pretty much muted all the way into the close because this from here highs to the lows, it's only about maybe less than 10 points. And it was, I mean, this last 10 minutes right here, it was quite slow and indecisive because you got a lot of dojis and just crawling into a very quiet close. So, as I said, I think it's because FOMC rate decisions coming up, options, and there's a quad option expiry this Friday, but contracts for the ES is already rolling over. So I think that's how come it's contributing to kind of a slow day with the volume being split on the January and March contracts. So I am lucky and just happy that I got one trade through and it was a green one. So hopefully tomorrow it could be just as slow, if not more slow. In that case, it could end up being a no trade day. So I just have to be extra careful, not get drawn in, and then just take these invented setups that I usually fall prey to when I've been watching. Like if I've been watching all the way until like 10 o'clock Pacific Standard, I haven't done anything, then things start looking good, even if it's a second entry, but with no context. So I'm aware of that weakness in myself and I'm slowly hammering them out. So hopefully that was helpful.